In this single video, we are going to cover all of the important methods that are available to be used on an array in JavaScript. What is an array? An array is a collection of similar or different types of data wrapped up together. Here, I have a very simple array that consists a number, string, boolean, object. We again have an object, an array. Yes, an array inside an array. And then we have a boolean again, string, number, and again an object. So you can see that we have combined a collection of different types of data inside an array. Printing down the console, here you can see the entire output. I will reload it again so that it will be refreshed. Gonna expand it quick, and now you can see all of the array data printed right here. Now, if you want to update your array, you can simply edit it manually. You can simply provide the data right here. But most of the time, you are not going to update your array like this. Rather, you are going to write some logic, and then you are going to update your array based on some certain changes. Just for an example, you have a user form, and then the user updates the form. They insert their data inside your user form, and then when they click the submit button, you are going to write the logic that those data should be inserted inside this array after the user presses the submit button. So the data from the form will be pushed inside this array. So here comes the first method of array, that is push method. So push method helps us to push data inside an array. So here I can say simple array because on simple array we are going to do all of these method calls. Simple array dot push. Now push is a method. So what is a method? A method is a very simple function inside an object. Don't stress it too much. If you think these things are not making much sense to you, go and look at the advanced JavaScript course that I prepared for you, 11 hours. You are going to understand all of this in complete depth. So push, since it is a function, well, now you may get confused that, hey, you just said method and you are saying function. Yes, every method is just a function that is inside an object, okay? So here, since push is a method, which is indeed a function, we are going to call it like this. Now inside push method, whatever you want to push inside this array, you are going to pass it. In the case of user form, all of the data would be coming right here. But since we do not have any backend or front end attached right now, we are just learning for the examples. We are taking a look at the example. Here I'm going to randomly provide some data. Let's say John Wick, okay? John Wick. Some of you are saying, I don't understand your love for John Wick. I can't explain. Even I don't understand. Okay, John Wick 23 and maybe an object. Okay, ID will be 34, and then I will say description. What? Boogeyman Slayer. I have already mentioned that here. Okay, Boogeyman Slayer. Okay, so here we have pushed 3 data. So one is a string, one is an integer, and then an object all at once inside this array. If I save this, I'm gonna reload it. I'm going to expand this, and now you can see we have all of the data updated here, all of the data pushed here. John Wick 23, and then we have this Boogeyman Slayer, an object, okay? And the array returns us the length. So the total length of the array is starting from this zeroth index, indexed, we have the total length of 13, okay? Now you could do this entire part individually as well. So here you can call the push method again, and here you can pass the remaining data like this. It is totally fine. It's not essential that you insert all of the data in one go. No, you can call this push method as many times as you want. I'll say I was inserted from the last. Okay, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna expand it. I don't know why it keeps shrinking, but anyway, here you can see at 12th index I was inserted from the last. Okay, so this is very simple push method. Now similar to push we have pop, and now you can assume pop is to delete the item from the last. Now pop is a little bit different than push. Push takes the data that you want to insert in your array. Pop does not take any data. Whenever you call simple array.pop or the name of the array .pop, whenever you call the pop method, it simply deletes the last item inside the array. So if I save it, if I expand this, you can see that this data is no longer available in the array. if I repeat this statement again, there you go. Wait a second, like this. Now you'll see that this ID will be gone. The 12th index will be emptied. If I expand this, now you can see that this entire data was also removed from the array. Similarly, if I call pop again, if I keep calling pop, you'll eventually find that our array is empty. It no longer has any data. Now if you again call simple array dot push, I'll simply say, hey buddy, now our array certainly has one item. So this is push and pop. I'm going to quickly read up this. Push is to insert data and pop is to remove data, but from last. Always remember, from inside in last and deletes from last. Okay, last. You are going to get all of the source code in the description of the video. Quite similar to push and pop, we also have the shift and the unShift method. So the shift method, if I say simple array dot shift, the shift method removes the first array element and shifts all of the other elements to a lower index. So at 0 index we have this hello world. Well, by default I have configured my VS Code as whenever I leave this code editor, it is automatically going to be saved. Okay, so that's why you see the updated data. But let me show you. If I expand, if I see this array, you see that we get this 42, right? If I quickly comment this and if I show you, you see we have at 0 index we have this 42. But if I quickly say simple array dot shift, the first item, the first data of the array is deleted. So shift method removes the first array element, okay, and shifts all of the indexes to the lower index. Okay, similarly we have unshift, simple array dot unshift. Again, unshift is just like push. Unshift is going to push some data from the beginning. So here if I say maybe what, strawberry, save this, expand this, here you can see we get strawberry. So shift, unshift. Next is this slice method. Look at this array very carefully. I have crafted this array just to explain you this slice method. The first 3 are the fruits and the last 3 are the vegetables. The slice method helps us to extract a part of an array and let us create a new array out of it. For example, here I have an array of both fruits and vegetable. Well, the name is little incorrect, fruits and veggies. Okay, and this would be fruits and veggies. Okay, now I want to extract vegetables out of this array and make it a new array. Here slice is going to help us. So here I can say vegetables equals to fruits and veggies dot slice. Now here you can pass the index number from where you want to slice all of the data. So indexing always starts at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So we are going to start slicing this array from 3, and that's it. If you now say vegetables, you will see an entire new array with just vegetables in it. Expand it, you see potato, onion and cabbage. Okay, similarly if you just want to extract fruits, you can simply say const, like this, const fruits equals to fruits and veggies dot slice, and slice from 0. But now you cannot actually say only 0, because if you would do this, then your entire array will be returned, because after all you are going to get this entire array. You see, you just want to extract cherry, guava, apple, so you also have to provide the stopping point. So what is the stopping point? Let's count 0, 1, 2. You may be thinking that the stopping point would be 2. Do it, you will get the fun. See, if I saved, you just got cherry and guava. You also want to include apple, but you only got cherry and guava. No, the reason is the last index is not counted, so you always go +1. 0, 1, 2, 3. Third index will not be counted, so you always provide +1. You want to count 0, 1 and 2. So 0 is the starting point and 3 is the ending point. But this ending point is not included in this new array. No, the ending point is reserved just to tell the compiler that, hey, this is the ending point. Take all of this into consideration, but stop right here and don't include this one in your new array. So now if you say this, you see your fruits returned as a new array. So this is slice and this is slicing with keeping indexes in mind. Okay, now I'm going to give you very general information about slice. The slice method creates a new array. The slice method does not remove any element from the source array. The source array is intact. It helps you to create a new array out of the data based on the source array, so the original array. This array never changes. This is a new array, this is a new array. Okay, so this array never changes. The data of this array will always be intact. Again, the slice method can take one argument and can also take multiple arguments based on the type of data you want to extract and the way you want to extract the data. Also, if you just write the for example, if you just write const all data up to this index, here you can say fruits and vegetables dot slice. If you just mention 2, if you do not provide any start index or end index, then up to 2 all of the data will be sliced and will be created in a new array. Okay, so all data, so right here all data, apple, potato, onion, cabbage. So 0 and 1 was removed, but all 4, the letter 4 was carried as a new array. Okay, the next method is the array.splice method. The array.splice method changes an array by removing or replacing existing elements from it. It gets a starting index, a count meaning how many elements you want to remove, and it can also get optionally new elements which will be placed inside the array. In the end, it will change the array on which it is called upon, and it will return an array with the removed items. I know it's a tricky one, so let's understand array.splice method by writing few lines of code. And here I have written a very simple summary. It lets you modify an array by removing, adding, or replacing elements at any position. So first, let's understand removing. Okay, so here I can say numbers.splice, and this method will return you a new array. Now, if you want to remove an item from inside of this array, here you can provide the starting index and then the delete count. So here I can say that, hey, I want to remove numbers all the way from first index or maybe second index. So here I can say start removing from 2, and how many number do you want to remove? Let's delete all of them. Let's remove all of them. So here I can say 1, 2, 3, 4. So here I'm going to provide the delete count to be 4. So number 3, 4, 5, 6, all of this will be deleted and will be returned as a new array. And then this array will be updated with only having 1, 2. So only 1 and 2 will be inside this numbers array. So let me prove it. First of all, I'm going to cl the numbers, and then here let's create a variable. I'll say deleted number, deleted numbers equals to this one. Okay, cl deleted numbers. If I save this, you'll see the entire array is this one. 121 is printing the numbers. Okay, so this is the number, and then this is the deleted count. So 3, 4, 5, 6, this entire part is the deleted count right here. Okay, now one thing that you noticed is that this entire array, so this numbers array here, it certainly is printing this entire array, but it only has these two elements, so 1 and 2. So the length is 2, right? So if I print this number here, because I printed it at the wrong place, I wanna console it right here. And now if you compare, you see this is our original array, and this is the deleted item that we fetched out of this array. So it did ended up modifying this array. So this is how you remove. Now if you want to replace some item, here you can also do that. So here I'm going to write, first of all, let's say adding. If I want to add some item, here I can simply say const added equals to numbers dot splice. Here again you are going to provide the indexing point from where you want to add the number. So here you are going to say that, hey, from second index, after this here, after skipping 2 points, here you are going to provide adding number. So here I can say 10 and 20. So it means that start from the second index, so 0, 1, 2, second index, and skip till 2, so 3 and 4. So after 3 and 4, 10 and 20 will be inserted. So if you say cl added, okay, and well, I need to print the numbers array, certainly. Now you see, after 1 and 2, 3 and 4 are removed, and now 10 and 20 is added in between. Okay, so this is how you add. Let me explain you again, it may have confused you. So this is the start index. Hey, start from here, so start from the second index and count the second index as well, and then skip the next two elements, which means the count the second index, this is 1 and this is 2, so 2 items. Okay, these 2 items will be deleted, and on these place of 3 and 4 we will get 10 and 20. So this is adding, and then we again have, what do we have now? After removing and adding, if you want to replace some data inside of an array, you can do that as well. So let's say that this is our original array 1 2 10 20 after the updation. Okay, now if I want to update this with 1, maybe x y z, I can do this. I can say const update array update numbers array equals to, here I can say numbers dot splice. Here again we'll have to use the start and delete count. So here I'm going to say that, hey, start from the first index, so first index, and then from here I'm going to say count, delete count to 2, so 2 and 10. Okay, so here I'm going to say 2, and here I'm going to provide the data that I want 2 and 10 to be updated with. So 2 I'll say x probably, and 10 I'll say y. Oh, you y. No, and now if you say numbers, you'll see that now 2 and 10 is replaced with x and y. Now I know, I understand this may sound little confusing to you, but it is all about indexing. Just understand how indexing works and everything will be replaced. See, when we say splice, we say that, hey, select from the second index. So second index means 0 1 2 always. Okay, indexing always starts at 0, right? So when you say 0 1 2, it means that it is going to start counting from here, and then it is going to delete next 4 elements. So next 4 elements counting from here, which are the next 4 elements counting from here? So 1 2 3 4, all of them will be removed and will be unpacked in its new array. Okay, and that array is these deleted numbers right here. You can see it. Okay, similarly if you want to add, you can simply say 2, so start from 2, count again 2, and then here you can provide the data that hey, I want to add something, so you can add it. By the way, if you do not want to remove something, you can also provide 0. If you say 0, and now if you save it, you will see that your original array will be preserved. So line 128, we do not get well, at line 130 we are getting 10 and 20 because we are not removing it anyway, because when you do not provide any delete count, it simply says that, okay, so this is the starting point, and from here onwards I'm going to add these 2 data inside the array. So from here we have already removed 3 5 6 7, so 3 4 5 6 is already removed, so we just have 1 and 2 on those numbers. And then when you say that, hey, add 10 and 20, that's why you see 1 2 10 20. Okay, the next method is the array.concat method. This method in JavaScript is used to merge 2 or more arrays to create a new array, and the array.concat method does not change the existing array, so these 2 arrays will remain intact, but the array that you will be creating by concatenating both of these array will be entirely new array. Okay, so here array 1 is 1 2, array 2 is 3 4. Now if you want to combine both of these array to create a new array, and a large array to be exact, on array 1 you can call the concat method and pass the array 2, and now you have altogether a new array, new and big array. Okay, additionally if you have a few more array, you can say array3 equals to maybe data what, well, I'm unable to see the keyboard, wait a second, I'll say anything. Okay, Apple keyboard. Okay, here you can pass this method array3, and now you have even bigger array. Okay, if you do not want to do it like this, again you can say let new array equals to result dot concat. On result, now you want to concat this array3, you can do that R3, well, not like this, but R3. So let's copy this one. Here you can concat it. So now we are concating array 3 to this result, which is concating array 2 to array 1. Okay, so now if you call this new result as well, you can see both of these array are, wait a second, new array result dot concat array 3. Well, this should have been new array, not the result. Okay, so now you can see that this is how concatenation of array works. Similarly, if you want to pass some direct data, you can do that as well. You don't have to call concat method to pass even an individual data. Here you can do anything. You can say John, week, and comma 12, 13. Okay, and there you see, okay, you have even bigger array. You can use the join method in JavaScript to join all elements of an array into a single string. For example, here we have a countries array, and then inside this array we have individual countries name into its individual string. So India, Russia, Japan, right? Now if you apply countries.join, and if you do not pass any separator here, then by default all of this data will convert to a single large string. Okay, so if I save this, you see we get this single large string. Do not think that India, Russia, Japan is a different value. No, all of this is a single large string. Now by default, if you do not apply any separator, let me write here, join by any type of separator. Okay, if you do not apply any separator here, separator value here, by default all of these data will be separated by a comma, but again it will be converted into a single large string. Now if you want to have a separator, a specific separator like dash, comma, by default it is comma, but if you want yours, you can have your own separator. For example, in this string here, if you want to separate these countries name by a dash, there you go. If you provide it, you see now all of the country are separated by a dash, but still this entire data is a single large string. This is not a different data. Okay, so it is just like this. If you copy it, if I paste like this, so this entire part is a single string. Okay, and now here if you have another, you can have asterisk, there you see it, Japan. You can have multiple data, like you can write anything, and all of your data will be divided between these separators. Okay, as of now I haven't seen much important use cases of this join separator other than this, but hopefully in future scenario, if I will be encountering any better use cases of join, then I will definitely update on my channel, or probably I will create a sort. Okay, so this is join, and let me see which is the next. Then we have a very simple reverse. Reverse is simply, just reversing the array. Okay, so here reverse, if you say countries dot reverse, then the entire array const reverse array, entire array will be reversed. Reverse array Japan, Russia, India. Okay, very simple. Next up we have sort method. Now as the name itself suggests, you may be thinking that the sort method is used to sort an elements inside of an array. You are right, but sometimes this works technically in a different way. Okay, so let me now explain you the inner side of working with the sort method. So here I have a very simple fruits array, banana, orange, apple, mango, and when you apply sort method on this fruits array, then all of this data will be sorted alphabetically. So here I'm going to write a comment, alphabetically. Okay, alphabetically. Now if you try to apply sort method on a number, then you will see little different outputs. If I say const numbers equals to 12, 13, 9, 8, 7, 4, 20. Okay, numbers array. Okay, now if you try to say const sorted numbers equals to numbers array dot sort, okay, you may think that the output will be something like this. So in ascending order, 4, 7, and then we have 8, then we have 9, and then 12, 13, 14. Okay, you would be expecting similar output, right? But you'll see, no, this is wrong. the output is entirely in a different format, 12, 13, 24, 7, 8, 9. Why? Because by default, when you try to sort the numbers using this sort method, then the first the number is converted into a string, and then the sorting is done. So don't go into behind the steps. So by default, the sorting is done lexicographically. Lexicographically simply means alphabetically for strings, and by converting elements to strings for numbers. Okay, so here we have a number. By default, it is first converted into a string lexicographically. I just mentioned the term lexicographically, right? Now you would be asking that if so, then how are we going to sort a number in ascending order? Well, for that, inside this sort function, inside this sort method, again method is also a function, here inside this sort method we get a compare function. So here we can pass an arrow function, and then we can write the logic for comparing, and then coming with the output that would actually result into number being sorted in ascending order or in descending order. So here I'm just going to pass an arrow function, very simple arrow function. Well, we do not write arrow function like this, but rather this. Okay, so here I'm going to provide two numbers, a and b, because after all we are going to do what? We are going to do some mathematical calculations so that we can actually figure out how to make the number ascending and descending. So here I'm going to simply say console.log, or not console.log but return a minus b. So this would actually result into ascending number being sorted ascendically. Okay, ascendically, is that a word? Maybe in ascending order. If I save this, now you can see that number is in ascending order. Similarly, if you want to sort the number in descending order, you simply have to say b minus a. Save this, and now you can see that our number is sorted in descending order. So this is how you should play when you try to sort a number using the sort method. Always remember about having a compare function for sorting string numbers, because by default, come on, sorting is done lexicographically. Okay, I just wanted to mention this term lexicographically. This sounds really cool. Okay, so this is very simple sorting. For strings, this is alphabetical, and for numbers, the numbers will be converted into a string and then it will be sorted. But if you really want to sort a number in ascending and descending order, then just remember this function and you are done. Okay, so this is a very simple compare function. Now do not ask me how does an arrow function works, how are you doing this return. Please, for that, go ahead and check the advanced JavaScript course. I don't like to repeat all the steps again and again. I myself get frustrated sometimes. Okay, so please excuse me, and let's move on to cover the remaining methods that we can use on JavaScript array. Sorry for speaking too much. Next up is array.map method. I'm going to write a few lines of code, and then I will explain you what all of these statement means one by one. So let's say we have a results array where we have kept results of our students. Now somehow this result is not up to the mark, and we have been instructed to double the results so that the students can pass with flying colors. So if you are a very simple JavaScript developer just starting out, you would simply think to do it like this. You would simply fetch the first index of this results array, and you would multiply that, because this will actually fetch you the value of 20, and then you would multiply all of these values by 2. If you save this, you will actually get the correct output. But first of all, let me comment this out. Don't worry, I will come back to this. I will explain you what this means. If I save this, you definitely get the results 40, 60, 80, 90, right? But this is wet code. Write everything twice. How to make it dry? For that, we are going to use this map method. So let's now understand array.map. Array.map takes a very simple callback, and that callback then in return takes 3 parameters, and then we can also pass this argument. Now this argument will be a bit advanced at this point, because in the following series I haven't explained you this. If you want to learn this, go and check out the advanced JavaScript. But we are going to cover this one and this one. This is also optional. By the way, this is also optional. Index and array, this is completely optional. You can work with map method by only providing the current value. So let's say that we are going to double the results, but this time we are going to use the map method to achieve that. So what map method does is that it lets you map over a given array's elements, and then it helps you to create a new array out of it. So here you can simply say results dot map, and here you can pass a very simple callback function. Usually I pass arrow function, but as a beginner you may find it unsuitable to understand, so I'm going to pass a very simple normal function, okay, like this. Now here you pass the current value. Let's say that I want to double the marks, right? So when you pass this callback value, then this callback will loop over all of this item one by one, okay? So in first looping it will go over 20 and we'll do the following things. So first here, since we are going to double the results, I will simply say maybe double, okay, and then here I can say return double into 2. Now in first iteration the double will hold 20, so 20 into 2 will result into 40, okay, and then similarly 30 into 2 will result into 60. Now all we have to do is maybe let's hold this into a variable. I'll say doubled result equals to this one, and now if I simply say doubled result, if I save this, we get 40, 60, 80, 90. In the meantime, I will also print the original array results. So this is the original array and this is the doubled results. Okay, so map method does not change the original array. No, it does not. So it is only used to map over a certain array and then do the following task. Here you can do anything, but most suitably, since we are dealing with numbers, we are providing a simple multiplication, because after all this is what we want. Okay, so here the first parameter is the current value. So this is the current value, so current element being processed in the array. So in first iteration the current element that is being processed is 20, in second iteration 30. So each time the iteration will occur, all of these individual items will once become the current element. Then we have the second index, which is optional to provide. Now this is the index of the current element that is being processed. Now here I have a very simple example of that index. I have that index somewhere here. Maybe I will quickly find it. So here I'm going to paste that example real quick. So we have a numbers to deal array, and here we are going to map over this numbers to deal with array using this map method, and we are going to use the index. And what this index means is that this index here 0 1 2, so 0 1 2, I'm going to tab it out, so 0 1 2. okay, so what we are actually saying is that, hey, iterate over this numbers to deal array and take the number in each iteration and multiply it with its index. So this index, the second parameter index, is just keeping the index to the point, just keeping the index at check. So in first iteration it will take this 0 value, so 0, and then it will multiply this number with 0, and then in second iteration the 20 will be multiplied with 1, and then in second iteration, to be exact in third iteration, this 30 will be multiplied by 2. So we are simply saying that, hey, number multiplied with its index value, number multiplied with its index value. So this index is pretty simple. We are just holding the value of the index of the elements in an array, and then we are simply saying num into index. So when I saved, you get 0 20 60 as the result. Okay, so this is as simple as that. If you provide 50 60, then this will be 150, and then this will be 240, probably 150 240. okay, so this is how you use the map method. Now I also have few more examples, like if you want to iterate over an object, then I have this very simple example. Let me just copy it right here. So we have an users array, John is 30. okay, now here we have to sort it with the names. We have to extract the names. So here we are simply saying that, hey map over the user with its name. So now if I save this, we get John, Jane, and Alex. If you want to map over their age, you can simply say, rather than name, let's go with age, and now 30 20 40. Let me now explain you one of the best use cases of using the map method. So you can use the map method to extract and create a meaningful array based on an existing array from which you want to extract a particular group of data. For example, let's consider this users. For example, this is an array that contains 3 users, and now I want to create an array that only contains the username or the age of the username, you can use the map method. So here you can say users.map. Let's loop over users because this is the current item, and then figure out the user.age. So user.age is 30, 25 and 40, right? And so here I'll say user. But if you want to extract this with the name, you can simply say names is users.map username, and now you will get an entirely new array that will contain the names of the users array. Now if you want to extract all of the age of the users in a different array, you can do that too. You can simply say age, and this time not user.name but user.age will be the criteria for extracting the age, and of course we need to print that as well. So age. Now you can see that we got two new entire array extracted from this users array that contains an object. So this is one of the best use cases of using the map method. Now for these two, array optional, I'm going to keep it optional because we rarely use this part of the parameter of this map method, and then this argument is kind of complex if you do not understand this method and this variable to be exact. So for that you need to watch the advanced course, and then only you will be able to understand how does this arguments works. Okay, the next method is the filter method. The filter method also works quite similar to the map method. The only difference is that the filter method helps us to filter data based on certain conditions. So here I have an items price array, and here we are trying to filter out all those items whose price is greater than 10. So here I have simply said item price dot filter, and just like the map method, this filter method also expects us to write a callback function where we have defined the logic for this data to be filtered out into a new array. Yes, filter method also returns us a new array after performing the logic, the callback function's logic on this items price array. So here we are simply saying that return us all those price into a new array which are greater than 10. So if I console.log, we are going to get all of the data which are greater than 10. So 15, 20 and 25. Okay, and if you try to include the 10 as well, then you have to say greater than and equals to, and now you'll also get 10. But since we are trying to retrieve those data which are greater than 10 and not including the 10, so here this logic is suitable. Okay, similarly we can also use the filter method to return us even number or odd number. We can figure out if the prices are even or odd. So here we have said item price dot filter price, which is equally divided by 2, leaving no remainder. So here I have written a very simple comment. Any number that can be exactly divided by 2 is called an even number. So here you will get even number, which is 10 and 20. But if you want to find out the odd number after divided by 2 leaves a remainder of more than 1 or 1, at least 1. So here you can say at least 1, and now it will give you probably 15 and 25, 5, 15 and 25. Yes, so these are odd numbers. Okay, but let's quickly shift to our correct logic, because after all we are finding the even number. Okay, so even number. Okay, now we can also use filter method for this very simple requirement. For example, if you have an array of words where you want to figure out all those words which are greater than of a particular length. I'm just talking about long tail words. So if you want to figure out long words, you can simply say long words equals to words.filter words.length greater than 5. Now inside of this array, whatever words we have, whatever words which has a length of greater than 5 will be returned into a new array. So there you go, you get banana and grapefruit. All of these has a length greater than 5. If you say 7, then only grapefruit will be returned. See, and if you say 4 probably, then we will get all of them. Let's see, apple, banana, grapefruit. We did not get kiwi. All right, so this is very simple filter. And now next up is reduce. The next method is the array reduce method. This method is used to reduce an array to a single value by executing a function. So here you can see that we have an array of multiple items, multiple data. That's what we typically use arrays for, to store multiple types of data or single types of multiple data in one variable, right? Now most preferably we use the reduce method to calculate the sum of all of the elements in an array, or sum or multiplication. Okay, but most typically we use the reduce method to reduce the array to one single value. Now this reduce method takes a function. This function is called the reducer function. This function executes on each element of the array, and this function has two parameters. One is the accumulator and second is the current value. It also has current index and array as a parameter, but those are really optional. First one is the accumulator. So here I'm going to write array data. I'm going to explain you all of these line by line. So here we have to use this reduce method. Call it like this. Now this reduce method again accepts a callback. Okay, now this callback can be in the form of an arrow function or a very simple general function. Here you can see it is saying reduce expects us to write a callback function. Here we have all those parameters. So the previous value, which is called the accumulator. So accumulator is hosting the result. Hosting, did I just said hosting? No, accumulator holds the result from the previous iteration or the initial value on the first iteration. So here first of all I'm going to write a very simple function and then I will explain you. So here we are actually passing accumulator and then the current value like this. Now this accumulator, let me write it. I myself confused myself. Accumulator, okay, this one. So this ACC holds the initial value of the array data, and then this current value holds the element that is being processed, because now when you execute this function, the accumulator is holding this value, and now the iteration moved to the next element. So now the current element is this 2. Now most typically we are here just to return the sum of accumulator, wow, I got it correct, plus the current value. So now this will actually result into 1 plus 2, because accumulator is starting the iteration from 1 and then the current value. So we are on the first iteration, we are adding 1 plus 2, and then the iteration moves to, because now we also have the value, so 3. So returns us 3 in initial stage, right? So now after returning 3 by performing the addition on these two elements, now the current value is 3. Okay, so now the accumulator will hold the 3 and then the current value is 3, so now it will be 6. Okay, 6. And similarly now the accumulator will hold the value 6 and now the current value is 4, so the total value will be 10. So the overall value of this return from this array data after executing the reduce function, the value, the output that we will get will be 10. If I save this, you see we get 10. Let me explain you again. Accumulator starts by holding 1 and then the current value is 2, because now accumulator is holding 1 and now the iteration moved to the second, to the first index. So the current value is 2, because I just mentioned that this is a reducer function that executes on each of these elements. Okay, array.map, array.reduce, array.filter, all these three methods are similar. They work on array each elements, and then it returns you a form of an array. But the only difference between the reduce method is that reduce method is used to churn out the array, to execute, to get us a single value from the array, which is going to be most typically the sum. You can also say multiplication. Now the plus will change into multiplication and we will get the output such as 4 3 is 12, 12 2 is 24, into 1 24. Save it. Now you get the 24 as output. Okay, now I'm going to give you a few examples as well. You can use the reduce method to find the maximum as well as the minimum value inside of an array. How does that work? So here I can say let max value equals to, let me fix my mic, I can say array data dot reduce. Again here I'm going to pass a very simple function. Okay, let's go with an arrow function so that we can do a little bit of coding exercise. Now if you're a beginner JavaScript developer, I will still suggest you to go with arrow function, because after all this is the most suitable form of using an arrow function in 2024 and beyond. Okay, but still if you are not comfortable with arrow function because you do not understand the syntax, it confuses you, go with regular function like this one. Okay, so here I can simply say that hey, if by the way, here we receive two parameter, accumulator and the current value. See, I got it correct. This time I said accumulator, right? Now here we are going to pass the if else value. Now we know that accumulator is the iterated value and this is the current value. Okay, so in the first iteration, accumulator starts holding the value. So 1 will be holded in this accumulator variable, and then this current variable will hold this 2, right? Now here we can make an if and else check. Okay, so here I can simply say that if current value is greater than accumulator, we are simply going to return that just return the current value. Okay, or else, because since we are only going to write one code, we do not need to write this else. We can also write it, but the shorthand is if you write anything right here, it will already be treated as an else value. Return what? Probably yes, accumulator itself. Okay, now if I print the max value, if I save this, we are going to get a 4. Yeah, if I save this, we get 4. Now let me show you how does this work. So I can say print the current value as well as the accumulator. Make sure to make this console statement right here. Do not write this console after return, because after return you can see that the console statement is grayed out, because after return no code executes. Once you have said return to a function or if else or anywhere, return marks the end of that line of execution. Okay, that entire line of code, and beyond this is the end. Once you say return, you are returning something. Okay, so never say return and then console. Whatever you have to do it before return. If I save this, in first iteration 2 is the current value and accumulator is 1. So here we are simply checking if current value, that is this one, current value is 2, is greater than the accumulator. Yes, return 2, we got 2. And then this is how we kept checking the accumulator. So 2, 3, 4 is greater than 3, and since 4 is greater than 3, in last iteration we got 4 as the output. Similarly, you can also find out the min value. We just have to do, actually I want you to give it a go. Min value, very simple to understand. All you have to do is you have to make little changes right here and you are going to get the minimum value. Pause this video and try to give it a go on your own. Okay, I hope you did give it a shot. All you have to do is you have to say less than, and now if you save this, you get the minimum value, which is 1. If I quickly make this a string, I'll say the minimum value is $min value. The minimum value is 1. Similarly, I can copy this. I can say the maximum value is max value. We get 4 and 1. Okay, so this is the most typical use case of the reduce method. I'm going to paste little comment right here. Okay, and I will actually try, I will request you all to read this. Okay, I'm gonna comment this out. Okay, so accumulator, the current value, because final file is going to be in the description. Do make sure to download it from the what do we call it, GitHub. Okay, here you can read it. Okay, nevertheless, I already explained you how does the method itself works. Let's now move on and try to understand the remaining 4 or 5 methods. Next is the forEach method. This method is used to execute a function on each element of an array. It does not return anything but simply loops through the array, applying the function to each element. A simple way to understand the working of forEach is by printing all of these elements individually. So here I am going to declare a very simple individual elements variable, and we are going to loop over this numbers array using this forEach method, and then inside here we pass a callback, and here we define what we want to do. So we are simply going to say console.log the current value, because forEach in each iteration it just loops over this all element. Okay, so here I can simply say all element, okay, because all element is going to hold the current value in each iteration. Okay, so here all I'm going to do is print this all element, and you'll see that the forEach, since the name itself is forEach, here you can read performs the specific action for each element in an array. What is that specific action? The specific action is printing all elements in console. You can also ask that all elements, what does it mean? Well, for each iteration, one by one, these numbers are going to be stored in this variable. Okay, so in first iteration, when forEach will call this array first time, will visit this array first time, in first iteration it is going to take 1, assign 1 to this all element variable, let's call it all elements, okay, more suitable variable name, and in the first iteration console.log is going to print 1, and then the execution stack pops up this function, and then in the second iteration we get 2, 3, 4. Okay, if I save this, you see all of our elements is now printed right here. So this is the most simple example of understanding forEach. Now we can also use the forEach method for creating something. Let's now see some of the examples that makes much more sense. Let's now understand modifying array elements using the forEach method. Yes, you can also modify elements inside of an array using the forEach method, but it won't directly change the array value unless you target the array elements directly. Now here is the confusion. You can ask me, how would we do that? How would we target the same array on which the elements are stored using this very simple function? This seems quite impossible, but not until I tell you. Additionally, after the current value, you also get the index as well as this array parameter inbuilt in this forEach method that will help you complete or achieve this task. Okay, so let's now understand how would we modify this numbers array itself. I'm not going to do it here. Let's have a very separate example. Okay, so let's say let data, and what should we do? Let's have a very simple 1, 2, 3. Okay, not going to make it much complex. Now I can say data dot forEach, and here we have this callback function. Okay, and in this callback function we can have the current value index and the array. Okay, and now what we are going to do is here we are going to say arrays index, on each index array equals to num, so well, not num but current multiplied by 2. So this is the array. So the data array's first index will be 0, so 0, that will be 1, so this 1. So now it will return 1 into 2, that is 2, and then it will move to the second index, 2 into 2, 4, 3 into 6. Okay, so this is how we are doing the calculations. So all we have to do is, now here if you say console.log data, if you print the data array, you will see that all of the data inside of this array will be doubled. Okay, so if I save this, expand this array, here you can see 2, 4, 6. Okay, so this is how you use the forEach method and with its additional parameters. Okay, let's now see one more example, and that is to access the index. So you can access the index of each elements inside of the array. So I can say let fruits equals to very simple fruits. I will say apple, oranges, and strawberry. Okay, whatever fruit I am remembering, I'm just writing here fruits data, and I can say fruits, I can simply say fruits data dot for each, and here we can say we are going to get the fruits, individual fruits, the current element, and then the index as well, and then the simple arrow function, we are going to use the template string, and we are simply going to print fruits and template string again index. If I save this, we get apple 0, oranges 1, strawberry 2. So this is the raw use cases of forEach. Okay, here I'm going to write the comment printing the data with its index. Okay, Nowadays I can write all of these examples in a few like I know how do you use this for each, but when I was starting learning JavaScript, all of this would literally confuse me as well. That's why I could think of any possible example within seconds. Okay, because and this comes with experience. The more you write code in any programming language, the more sharper you become. Okay, and next up is the findIndex, sum, and every. JavaScript is fairly a very simple language to understand. Not because I am telling you, but because look at the keywords defined in JavaScript. They are really straightforward. So here we have the find method, and understanding find method is very simple. FindIndex, sum, every. Look at the name of the keywords. So as the name find itself suggests, we are looking for something inside the array. So find looks for the first element in the array that meets a condition. It returns the value of that element, or if no element is found in the matching condition, it will simply return you the undefined. So here we are simply saying that, hey, find me the element that is greater than 10. Now you can see that 12, 130 and 44 all are greater than 10, but it is returning us just 12. Well, this is because find only returns the first element that matches the condition. If you skip this 12 right here, now you can expect us to get a result of 130, because 130 is the first element that matches this condition. Save it and I get 130 output. No matter if you write 12, 15, 145, no, the first element that matches the condition, the find is going to return you that. Okay, it's especially useful for finding a specific object or value within an array. Okay, so let me give you a very simple example. I'm going to copy the example that I have written in my another code editor. I cannot shoot multiple code editor at once, so users data, probably users data. I probably have some users defined already above. Okay, users data, what happened? Users data, let users data, and let's call this one user. So here we are saying users data, we have name John. Yeah, now I remember this code. Okay, so here we are simply saying that users data dot find a person which person's age exactly matches 22. So here we are simply saying users. If I save this, we get the user whose age is 22. It's Jane. Okay, so this is a very simple example of find, and you can see if I duplicate this one, if I duplicate this data and I can call it Jack, I'm not going to get Jack, I'm only going to get Jane. If I save this, I did not get Jack, but if I shift this data, now I'm going to get Jack. See, Jack, because the first matched condition, find only returns us the first matched condition. Similarly, you can also use the findIndex. findIndex is used to find the index of the data. Okay, so I'm going to skip findIndex most probably, and let's understand the sum and every. Okay, here is a very simple example of findIndex. We are simply saying findIndex of this array, any element. I'm here simply saying findIndex element that is greater than 10. So the first element that is greater than 10, it is going to return us the index of that element. So it is going to be 1. So 0, 0 for 5 and 1 for 12. If I save this, I get 1. Now if you want to do the check, you can delete 12 from here, and now the first element that is greater than 10 is 130. So now it is going to give you the index of 130. So 0, 1 and 2. So now the output will be 2. See, 2. findIndex simply returns you the index of the searched element right here. Okay, sum and every are both array methods in JavaScript that tests elements of an array against a condition, but they differ in how they check for matches. For example, the sum method checks if at least one element in the array satisfies the provided condition. It returns true if any element passes the test, otherwise it returns you the false. But for every element needs to satisfy the condition. So I'm going to give you a very simple example. So here I'm going to copy from my another code editor. Again, I will say numbers data, or let's just call it data set. Well, this is also data set 1, data set 1, data set 1, dot sum. Okay, so here we are checking has even number. So does this array contain at least one even number? So here we are saying dataset dot sum of these numbers must be even number in order to satisfy this condition and to actually give us some result. Okay, so sum actually checks if any one of these elements matches this condition, then we are going to return the output in true. Okay, if I save this, we get true boolean. Why? Because we do have 2 right here, 2 and 4 right here. If we delete this 2 and 4, now you will see we get false because we do not have any even number. So this is the condition to check even number. Remember, we already did this above. So number that is exactly divided by 2 and leaving no remainder. So this is sum. And on the same time, if I say for every, let me say dataset 2 right here, I'll say has even number every. All of the elements needs to be an even number, and let's change the method to every. Now it will return false. Well, it does return true, but we need to call the has number every. Okay, because I was calling wrong variable. False. Why? Because not all of these numbers are even number, but if I shift it to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, now only this entire code will execute in true, and then this will be resulted into true. If I save this, now we get true. Why? Because for every, all of these elements needs to satisfy this condition. Even if one element fails to satisfy this condition, then this entire data set will be nullified, and then this variable will actually give you false. See, false. Okay, so this is very simple, sum and every. So now we have covered almost all of the array methods in JavaScript, and if you like, please like the video and subscribe the channel. I usually do not say subscribe and like, but yeah, since I'm just leaving off, yeah, it's been nice seeing you all. Till then, stay safe, happy coding. Please make sure to subscribe and like. Next up is what do we have? Let me check my notes. Next up is the all object methods. We have 6 object methods. Okay, coming up ahead, we have all object methods. Tata, bye bye.